kind of told us a little bit on the background of this song, and yeah, how does it feel now for the first time performing it?
Nerve-wracking. I just was trying to remember the words to it. No, it feels good, and it definitely is a personal song. You know, it's a personal song anytime you're describing something that's bothering you or something that's ailing you, right? So in that sense, it can make it tough to perform sometimes, but I think if you come across it honestly and realize that other people are going through tough times as well, it makes it easier. So
Yes, no doubt. And that's interesting when you say about tough times and facing adversity, because looking back, okay, you're an athlete. You have been in competitive sport, golf and hockey, and know what it's like to train as an athlete and to be dedicated. So now here you are, a singer, and for the most of us think, oh, well, that looks easy. But I think you have learned through the hard way that it's not so easy and there is training involved.
well, it's certainly trial and error for sure. I mean, I think it says something about a profession or about a hobby or about a talent that if it's hard to attain, it's probably one that's going to be rewarding. So that's kind of my vision with music is yes, it might be hard to attain and yes, sometimes you're not going to have your best performance, but you know, practice and kind of repetition is vital as well as kind of developing that inner confidence and it certainly is rewarding when when you get on that grand stage here and there and yeah.
And so you are performing originals in the goal to have an EP, but now, I mean, you've had some professional backing, working with Murray Pulver, formerly of Doc Walker, and now like probably the busiest music producer here in Winnipeg, and his best buddy Paul Yee. And what was it like working with professionals and different demands on you?
Again, I mean, to kind of repeat what I said before, it was invaluable. You learn from them everything that they do, the way they conduct themselves, the way that they obviously play their instruments, but also the subtle cues you get from them. Like, when you're in the studio and you're either playing guitar or you're singing, and you watch their body language. And that's what I do in the crowd as well. When you watch someone's body language, you can pick on those nonverbal cues, and those are huge for music. When you see somebody, kind of put their head down or drop their shoulders, you know that you got to make a little bit of a change or you got to do something different. But when you see that eye contact on you and you see that that kind of attention. That's huge. And in the studio, I found that to be big. You're in a booth with a microphone in the pitch black, and you're looking back at the producer and the engineer working all the gear inside there, and they're counting on you to pull through and make a big performance. And when you watch them looking at you and bobbing their head, that's it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool feeling. So I learned a lot from both of them. Two absolute musical geniuses.
Well, no, it's definitely an invaluable experience. And now, as we're heading, to the final two songs, one is a question from the audience was, what is your musical inspiration now, or musical influences now?
All right, so my musical influences right now, times current. I'm actually transitioning a little bit. I'm a slow developer. I was always kind of a 90s rock kid. I'm a 90s kid, so I love the Matchbox 20. I love Rob Thomas, and I kind of loved that rock sound. But I'm slowly starting to transition into the new age flavor, and I really think that music has now transitioned back into a lot more organic kind of sounding instruments and a lot more raw talent that's showing up on albums instead of that electronic kind of feel that not everybody agrees with, and we'll put that out there. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of mechanical sound, but I really appreciate the direction that music's moving in. It's still got that new age kind of it's something that's hard to explain. It's got that new age flavor with the kind of the old roots mixed in with it, and I'm really liking what I'm hearing. And then I guess a current day favorite that I have right now, I'm loving the new Lights album. She's a Canadian artist. If you haven't checked out her new album, check it out. It's amazing. She's got a lead single off it called Savage, and that's one of my favorite tunes right now.
Kudos to the females. Yay. All right, so this next song, the title has me kind of perplexed. Best worst thing. Best worst thing. That's a tongue tie thing, but you know what? What is the story behind this?
All right, so the best worst thing, and I know that it can sound a little bit ironic, but it almost feels like all the best things in life are the worst thing for you, you know, like cherry Coke or you know, gambling or something like of that nature that I can't think of right now. Okay, we all know I'm talking about Heineken and Jameson and Corona and whatnot, but this is a song about vices, we'll put it that way. It can be, I kind of shaped it up to be universal. The way that I narrate it is a bad relationship. You're in a bad relationship with somebody that seems to be able to pull you back into it and keep you repeating your vices. And I feel like that's, you know, it's part of life. And I think the resolve to the end of the song kind of sheds light on, well, you know, it's time to make a change. And that's kind of what, you know, our mistakes are about. You realize them and you want to make a change. So this is what Best Worst Thing is about.
Well, once again, welcome Garrett to the music seat. Best worst thing.
So I was tired of chasing games. She looked like she felt the same. A kind of danger not felt before. I'm well aware that I need more. Now her kiss is all I need. It's the best, worst thing for me. Take another hit now, she said. Let it go straight to your head. I've tried so many times to forget, but I just can't let you go yet. Now your kiss still haunts my dreams. It's the best, worst thing for me. Tuesday evening, MC bar. I'm not alone, no, she's never far. She knows when to move on it. Her pretty lies, they wear me thin. Now her kiss is all I need. It's the best, worst thing for me. Take another hit now, she said. Let it go straight to your head. I've tried so many times to forget that I just can't your kiss still haunts my dreams. Make me suffer silently. You're the best, worst thing I need. But don't ever let go of your hold on me. It's all I need. There's always something there to bring me back or bring me down. Now that I've heard all you say, I'll push you straight out of my head. And all your white lies have worn thin. There was never something real to believe in. But your kiss still haunts my dreams. Punish me so perfectly. You go on and steal the rest of me. You're the best, worst thing I need. Okay, excuse.
All right, so I'm going to open it up with a question from the audience, and I think maybe we have answered it. Do you think you will ever write country songs, seeing you are so emotional? I don't know. I think that could easily be a country rock song.
Yeah, I mean, if we could get like a violin and a fiddle rocking beside me, maybe. But you know what I do? I love the country crossover genre. I'm a big Keith Urban disciple for sure. He's one of my favorites, and I could definitely see some of these songs transitioning to country. And the cool thing about this is these are all naked songs, right? They're acoustic. They haven't been recorded yet. So I'm kind of looking I'm looking to find what kind of direction I want to take with them, and I'm happy I get to share them with you guys tonight. I'm happy I get to convey the emotion that I felt when I was writing them. So it's a cool feeling, but you never know where they transition to. So yes, the answer to that question is I could see them being country. Country pop, though. Country pop, may I clarify?
Oh, wow. So, like, you know, it kind of expanding on that and the whole getting into the music industry and recording. And we had talked about, okay, so these songs potentially will be an EP. And what does that mean? You know, and how people listen to music these days. iTunes, on your iPod, downloading, YouTube.
Well, basically what an EP is it's a collection of, and sorry, I'm not the expert on this, but my understanding of an EP is it's a collection of your best works, and you want to put together 4 to 5 songs of songs that could potentially be your singles, and then you want to gain notoriety through those singles, gain a little bit of airplay, you know, gain a fan base, and then once you kind of have that stability in the music market, that's when you start to release the album. So contrary to how things used to work back in the day with the music industry, where labels would find these bands and believe in them and just pump money into them to record albums and, you know, tour, nowadays, you know, CD sales are not, they're minimal, like they're minuscule in terms of the artist's revenue, and touring is a huge vehicle for their revenue, but also, you know, I think online, Apple Music, the iTunes is definitely where they get their exposure as well, and I hope that it continues to be that way, because I think it's a very good and very accessible and very affordable way for people to buy music nowadays. So.
All right, so I'm going to interject with another audience question. There's 2 of them, and they're very good. If you could co-write with anyone, who would it be and why?
That's a great question. I love that. If I could co-write with anybody, who would it be and why? My first big songwriting influence was Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. I think if I could co-write with anybody, I think Steven Tyler. Um, because I love the obscurity to his songs, but then generally speaking, he brings it back into that universality during the chorus. And I love that confusion too. It gives you that muscle confusion. I love that. It makes you make up your own story, and he does such a great job of that. Yeah, I think if anyone, Steven Tyler would be my number one.
Although for me, I never understood what he was singing, but I'd have like the couple of words that I could say, "Dream on." That's it. All right, but good answer. And so the second one is if you could co-sing with anyone, who would it be and why?
Um, Probably my cousin Christian Suderman, and my other cousin Leah Suderman, 'cause they're in the crowd right here, right now. And they both are incredibly talented musicians. And yeah, I think they're number one and number 1B on my list. Christian, you're 1B.
Well, that's always good to know. All right, so we're heading into your final song, and in this program, the final song is probably the closest to your heart, the one that means the most, and I guess fragile. Fragile means so many different things. Breakable, need to handle with care. A little bit about the background on this song.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. Yeah, that fragile. Yes, you need to handle with care, or breakable. But I think this more pertains to the to us. We're all confident. We're all strong most of the time. But then we do have those moments of vulnerability, and that's where fragile stems from. It's not about being breakable or being small. I think that we all feel sometimes where we need that somebody to just say, "Hey, let go. I'm going to help you through this." And that's what fragile is about.
The lights have all gone down. It's time to lock the door. But I'm still hanging on, 'cause I just can't ignore the stories on your skin. They wanna let me in, the secrets left untold. But I know you feel down, 'cause you've been hurt before. If your friends die, well, I won't let you break. If you can't fly, well, I won't be your wings. If there's no light to shine upon your face, don't be scared now, 'cause I won't let you break. Don't be scared. Try to see your hurt inside, and no one knows it's you, 'cause no one took the time. But I wanna make this clear, that I won't stay right here. I'll follow every scar Don't be scared now, 'cause I won't let you break. Don't be scared now, no, but I won't let you break. Well, trust is never easy, but I need you to believe. Just reach out for my hand, I'll be the shelter that you need. Well, if your friends die, well, I won't let you break. And if you can't fly, no. And if there's no light, and hell is all you face, don't be scared now, 'cause I won't let you break. Don't be scared now, no, well, I won't let you break. I won't let you break. If you can't fly, oh, I will be your way. I won't let you break. Well, I will be your way.
And it was interesting then when you introduced the song, about mental illness and dealing with problems. And there are a couple of organizations that have expressed interest. One of them being the True North Foundation, Project 11, with the whole dealings with suicide and everything like that. They have an amazing program that gets right down to the grassroots. And we're talking kids like in grade 5 learning about depression. So this conversation is getting younger and younger, and I have had opportunities to learn about stories with Mood Disorders Association. And they are having kids as young as 6 years old coming into therapy for social anxiety. 6 years old. I said, that's crazy. But, it's the beauty of art and music that can hopefully try and do some healing. And I quickly want to say that when you talked about Gord Downey and what an influence he was, not only as a musician, but, in his last few months, he spoke out and made it aware that he really was a proponent for the Indigenous people and making sure that their stories were told either through a storybook that he had written or music, and making sure that that legacy continues. So I congratulate you in a young person, but standing up and speaking out.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely, it's a tough topic to speak about, but kids are so smart these days, and I think they're also very perceptive to a lot of things. We have iPods now and internet that it exposes you to so many elements out there, and also, like, I mean, there's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad. So I feel it's important for them to get that education at a young age. If you're feeling a certain way, that's not abnormal. It's not abnormal to feel that way. But there are people that can help you through that can that can do it in a professional manner that's gonna help you. It's tough to speak about. It's a really tough topic to speak about, but there is definitely a lot of good people and a lot of good healthcare professionals and a lot of great organizations out there trying to make a difference, and it's great to see that it's starting at the grassroots age, and I'm excited to see where this Project 11 takes off to, because it's gonna go worldwide. I know it. It's amazing how many platforms they've reached to already. So
Yeah, no, totally agree. And you know what? It's all about creating a safe environment, no matter what troubles you're going through or who you confide in. It is creating a safe environment, and the first steps start with us, within your own family, within your friends, giving them that support. And, through this short evening of music, we certainly felt it. I will have one more question from the audience. It says, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? And like with all this emotion and of feelings, how is it going to be a positive, and where can we build upon that?
So in 10 years, I would love to come back right here to Saul and Paolo's place here. And I'd love to play another show right here in 10 years, and then I'll answer that question. But no, you know what? In 10 years, I really would love to have my music accessible for a global audience. I would love to play the Bell MTS place, it's called now, but that's my big goal, is to play a hometown show like that. And biggest thing for me is I would love to have a band and a setting in music where I really genuinely enjoy waking up every day to create and really feel that drive to keep pushing myself to be better. I think in 10 years, the biggest thing that I can hope for is that I have that setting in music where I'm ready every morning at 6 a.m. to wake up and go touring or go practice or go write songs or anything, do a radio interview. I crave that feeling. So right now I'm working towards that. I really crave coming to play for amazing audiences like this at amazing venues, and I hope that this leads to really big things in my music career. So
Thank you, Garrett. Well, this is, I think, beyond everybody's expectation. Thank you all for being part of this very intimate and up close and personal with a local, rising talent. And what we really want to showcase here, an evening at XQ's, is local talent. And we don't want people to have to go to Toronto. We don't want people to have to go to Montreal, Vancouver, or Hollywood, or Los Angeles. Just know in your hearts that you can come to a safe place, a welcoming place, and hear some of the best music all over. So thank you for joining us for an evening of XQ's, and good night.